Welcome to ASTG classes, and in today's class we will start with the topic of nested conditional statement. So let's start. Okay, now what is this nested conditional statement? Nested conditional statement means a conditional statement. A conditional statement, when its body contains another conditional statement, then that becomes nested conditional statement. Let me repeat it again. Within the body of a conditional statement, if we have another conditional statement, then that becomes nested conditional statement. Let's, for example, we have if. Suppose there is a condition. Okay, it can be any condition. Now within the body of the if we have another conditional statement, let's consider a if conditional statement only. Okay, then that becomes nested if. Now I have used the term nested if. Then what does it mean? It means that within the body of this if conditional statement, we have another if conditional statement. Okay, now whenever we are using the term nested conditional statement, then it can be possible that within the body of the if we have if else conditional statement. Okay, within the body of the if we have if else conditional statement possible. Okay, so the point is in case of nested, with a conditional statement, within its body we can have another conditional statement, and that what is nested conditional statement. I hope this much is clear to you. It's not necessary that if conditional statement needs to have if condition within the body of that if conditional statement we need to have if conditional statement only. We can have if else or if elif also. So it's not necessary. Now the point is when we need to go for this nested if conditional statement, and the answer lies upon your logic. Okay, so it's totally depend upon your logic, the logic which you are creating. If that requires nested conditional statement, then you go for it. Okay, so for this, in order to explain this particular portion, I am considering a program of leap year. We all know what a leap year is. So I would be writing the same leap year program using nested conditional statement. Just to show you that how we can go for the nested one. Okay, the same program can be written in a very simplistic manner. Guys, try to understand, the same program can be written in a very simplistic manner, but just in order to show you the way we can write the nested conditional statement, the leap year program using the nested conditional statement, that's my main objective. Okay, so before writing that particular program, let's have a recap of what leap year is. Okay, so I hope you have understood what is nested conditional statement. The main as I've told you in the beginning of this topic, conditional statement, that the main, if you understand the first main three topic, the if else, if elif, then it's just a matter of second to understand this conditional statement, nested conditional statement. Okay, now we have understood what if is, if else is, if elif is. Now it's time to write a good program using this conditional statement. So we are right now, I would be going to show you the leap year one. Okay, so let's start leap year. Now year is said to be a leap year if it is divisible by 4. Fine. Okay, fine. If it's divisible by 4, then that year is a leap year. We all know this particular thing, this particular definition, we all know. But there is a slight change. And that slight change occurs for the century one. Okay, So for a century year to be a leap year, that century year need to be divisible by 400. Okay, try to understand. If it's a century year, then that need to be divisible by 400. Okay, now all century year are divisible by 4. Clear? But all century year are not divisible by 400. So for the century year to be a leap year, that need to be divisible by 400. So we have got all the conditions. The conditions are clear to us. Now we need to write the code for the leap year one, and that I would be showing you on my computer. So I hope leap year conditions are clear. Now this code I would be writing on my computer using nested conditional statement. But yes, again, the same code can be written in a very simplistic manner using logical operator and or. Okay, but just in order to show you the importance of this nested conditional statement, I would be writing the same code of this leap year using the nested conditional statement. So without wasting any time, let's move. So guys, let's start our practical class. Okay, I've already opened my IDLE. Now let me write the code for the leap year one. Okay, now let's take the year. So year, I'm creating a variable year, and I will take the input from the user. Okay, let me take the input from the user, enter year, fine, done. Now the first and the foremost condition is to check whether that year is divisible by 4 or not. Okay, and for the divisibility, which operator we use, guys? Yes, you are correct, and it's modulus operator. So we would be using modulus operator. So if year modulus 4 is 0, double equals to 0, so this is, you can say, the first condition which we need to check whether that year is divisible by 4 or not. So if it's not divisible by 4, so let me write the else part. Okay, let me write the else part. Then definitely that year is not a leap year. Fine. So I've written the else part. Okay, now let's write the if body. Okay, the first condition is that need to be divisible by 4. Now we need to check whether that year which has been given by the user is a century year or not. And for that, in order to check whether a year is a century year or not, what we will do, we will definitely try to check whether that particular year is divisible by 100 or not. So, or definitely, so a century year is a year which is divisible by 100. So if year modulus 100 double equals to 0 or not. Okay, if so, this particular condition is checking the year which is being given is a century year or not. But for the century year to be a leap year, that need to be divisible by 400. So let's write the condition for it. So if year, so we have checked the year is a leap year or not, is a century year or not. So that is being checked with this condition. Now we have got suppose we have got a century year. So century year checking done. Now we need to check whether that century year is a leap year or not. So for that we need to check whether that particular century year is divisible by 400 or not. And if it is divisible by 400, then definitely that particular year is a leap year. Clear? And if it is not divisible by 400, then definitely that year is not a leap year. Fine. Now try to understand. This particular if else is within the body of this, and see, this particular if is within the body of this is this particular if. So this is what? This is simply nested conditional statement. Okay. Simple. I hope this much is clear to you. Now, it may be possible that the year which is being given by the user is not a century year, but that particular year is divisible by 4. Then definitely that year is what? Then definitely that year need to be a leap year. Why? Because it has satisfied the condition of divisibility by 4. Okay, but that year is not a leap year, but it is divisible by 4. Then definitely that particular year is also a leap year. So see where I have written the else part. Is a leap year. Okay, see this else, this particular else is for this particular if. Okay, if that particular year is not divisible by 4, then definitely that year is not a leap year. But if it is divisible by 4, then I have written a checking for century year. Means if that particular year is a century year or not. If that year is a century year, we have if else. And if that year is not a century year, then definitely that year is a leap year. Why? Because it has satisfied the condition of this year modulus 4. Okay, now if that year is a century year, okay, then definitely it will check that particular year is divisible by 400 or not, because for the leap year or for a century year to be leap year, that particular year need to be divisible by 400. Simple. And this whole structure you can say is a nested conditional statement, and I hope you have understood this particular code. So let me save it, leap year, and let's run. Let me write 2100. It's a century year, guys. Okay, it's a century year. See, century year, this being a century year, okay, it is not a leap year. Why? Because definitely it has not satisfied the condition of this. And let me check also. Let's check what we get. So 2100 modulus 400 gives us 100. So if it is divisible by 400, then definitely the remainder comes out to be 0. But see, the remainder is coming as 100. So it's showing us that 2100 is not divisible by 400, but 2100 is clearly divisible by 4. See, we are getting the remainder as 0. But the point is, if we write the condition, if we check the leap year based on divisibility by 4, then definitely that particular code is a partially correct code, not a fully correct code. So for a fully correct code, we also need to write a condition or a checking for the century year. And I hope with this you have understood, I think, the leap year code, and also the nested conditional statement. So that's all for today. And guys, if you haven't understand any of the part, you are free to ask me on the comment section. Just write your queries or your doubts. I will definitely try to rectify it. And that's all for today. And from next video, we will try to start with the topic of what? Iterative statement. Very important. Okay. So let's meet you in the next video. Thank you very much.